Hi, my name is Enzo. I'm the founder of Dental Tech Expert, and today we're going to talk about open versus closed digital workflows. But before we do, as always, like, subscribe, do something about this video. Pretty much every single person that I talk to asks me the same question. Is this an open or closed system? And the answer actually has a lot of variables to it because there are a bunch of different ways or a bunch of different steps when the workflow can be considered closed or open. We've listed here 5 different ways where a system can be considered open or closed. So it's going to be scanner. The scanner can be open or closed, the design software, the CAM software, the mill itself or the printer, and the materials you use on this mill or this printer. They all follow roughly the same logic. So what can be considered as an open scanner? A scanner where you scan the patient's mouth and you export an open STL, PLY, or OBG. It's not encrypted, right? If it is encrypted, it is a closed scanner. On the design software, it kind of has the same logic. So what kind of files it accepts? So does it accept open STLs, OBJs, and PLYs? Or does it only accept a certain encrypted type of scanner? And also has a lot to do with the type of file that it exports. So the communication between the CAN and the CAM can also be open or closed. A closed system is when you can only take in from a couple different scanners and you can only export to a couple different CAM softwares. On the CAM side, it has a lot to do with, of course, the type of file that it comes in and the compatibility with the milling machines that you're going to have. So an open CAM like Millbox, Hyperdent, CNWorks has compatibility with a bunch of different mills. A closed CAM like, let's say, Surmill Match 2 or InLab, they will only be compatible with a certain brand of mill. So Match 2 is going to be with Amon Gearbuck, InLab is going to be with Sirona, UpCam is going to be with Up3D. On the milling machine itself, we can consider a closed mill if it works only with one type of CAM software. So let's say it works only with InLab like Sirona, it's going to be we're going to call it a closed mill. If it's open, it can work with multiple brands, multiple options of CAM softwares. And the 5th way that you can make your system open or closed has a lot to do with the consumables. Let's start with the most basic one. Let's say you have a 5-axis mill that mills the zirconia discs. If your holder is not 98 or 98.5 millimeters in diameter, you are going to have what we're going to call closed system because you're going to have less options of material because the universal size of those zirconia discs is 98 millimeters. Similar to that, we have the mills that are usually 4-axis focused on the blocks. It has a lot to do with the type of pin that this mill accepts. If it is not the CEREC pin, where we call it the universal kind of pin, you are going to have a little bit more of a closed system. And the last thing has to do with RFID readers. So if you have systems where you have to read a QR code before you can put a material like this example here, which is the Celtra from Sirona. If it has the QR code, it is going to be close to the type of materials that you can use. It can also be closed on the type of burrs that you use. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not, but you have the RFID reader here where you have to read this before you put it to mill. And this is going to close you on the options of tools you're going to have to use. Similar happens with the printers. There are printers out there where you're going to have to read a QR code before you put a resin in. The idea is the same. If you have to read a QR code, you are on a closed ecosystem. If you don't have, big chances you are in an open ecosystem. Now, of course, there are advantages and disadvantages for being on an open and a closed, and choosing the right one is the big question. It depends a lot on what you're trying to do and what is the level of freedom and the level of control you want to have into the whole workflow. And if you don't know how to make the right choice, come and talk to us. This is what we do here at Dental Tech Expert.